Hello, hello. Um, I am not feeling good, but I knew that I had a commitment to do this for 30 days. So that is why I am on here. I'm actually just vlogging from my couch. And I was doing a workout, I want to say a week ago, and I think the weights that I used were way too heavy. And so I have a little strain on my left side of my neck, and it's like the muscle is obviously connected to the shoulder and down to your arm. And so I've been really feeling it, and I've just been pushing myself. And so today I literally think that that's probably the reason why I don't feel good. I have allergies. And so I'm just not feeling good at all today. I needed to take a breather and a rest, but I just wanted to hop on here. And I had a little bit of a cry. Usually, when I find that, like, whenever I'm sick, and I learned this in 12-step community, they would always say, like, whenever you're hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, or even sick, it's when your ego can get the best of you. It's when you're the most sensitive. And so anything that usually happens, like, your emotions are always going to be naturally heightened. And so for me today, like, I actually started off, like I mentioned in my previous vlogs, my vlogs, that I have been feeling really burnt out and just feeling like I have to constantly do things. So today, I woke up, had a session with my Jungian dream analyst, and we talked about some like things that I didn't even know that were occurring in my life at the subconscious level, that I knew there was still residual stuff being played out because obviously it was showing up in dreams, but I just didn't know how much. And it just reminds you that we're always just a work in progress. And no matter how many times we have different therapists or how many times we've talked about our different experiences or different traumas, like, it's just another layer of the onion, as cliche as it is, but it's just like hits deeper. It's a different angle, it's a different perspective. And so I just already felt a little bit sensitive to that, because sometimes when I feel like I've done all this inner work, it's like, oh, there's more. It's like how much more is there going to be? And I'm at the point where I know a lot of myself, but it was just one of the archetypes that I didn't know that I was still playing out in my day to day. And it was, when you learn something about yourself, it just kind of shocks you in a way that you weren't expecting. And so I don't want to necessarily say I was blindsided, but I'm grateful that I got to have that experience where it just felt very much a new perspective to me that I didn't know was happening. And so anytime I have a blind, or like a stone turned over, it's like, oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you. Something to look at. But, when I find out that I learn new things, I'm realizing that it doesn't have to take me under. It doesn't have to feel like I'm going to be, swimming and all of a sudden I'm just going to be turned over by like a whirlpool anymore. It's like, okay, um, I'm just a work in progress, and that's fine. And right now, oh, my left arm is hurting. But luckily, I have an acupuncture appointment tomorrow. And so I can just, work and heal on that. But, physical pain, emotional pain, it's really getting to me today. And so it's just left me in a state of just being really sensitive. And I was posting today. I officially launched my podcast episode. So 50 episodes, not including the bonus episodes that I've done. So including the bonus, probably like 52 episodes that I've done since I've launched my podcast, which I'm super proud of, because I know the statistics of actually keeping up and sustaining a podcast are very low. So I'm very, very grateful that I've been doing it. I've been keeping up with it and sharing about honoring the wild heart. So check it out. It's actually on my YouTube channel. It's on a different playlist. And I'm super proud of myself. I'm trying to think, like, what else did I do? Did some consulting work today, have a consulting meeting later on with someone in Asia, and just just here on the couch. Just here on the couch doing a vlog. And something else that I want to talk about was, I was on TikTok, and I was a story came on my feed of this woman who just had the summer fling romance with this guy in Italy. And I was like, oh my God, that sounds so amazing. And then sometimes I forget that I can romanticize other people's lives and just forget what I have. And that was one of the themes that I was talking about today in my, my dream session of, sometimes it's so easy to idolize other people and think that they have their shit together, or think that they're perfect, or think that they're goddess like, that they're god like. But in reality, you don't even know what's really going underneath. Just for example, I've actually had some people say to me, like, oh, yeah, I didn't want to follow you because, some jealousy stuff happened, or like friends stop becoming my friends and all of that stuff. And it's just like this image that you think a person has of a certain life, but you don't really understand what's going on with them. And, when I was looking like, oh my gosh, that sounds so amazing to have this romantic Italian fling with someone. And then I forgot, oh, well, I'm sure some people think about you because I have a Danish partner and we're going to Denmark in a couple weeks, and just like all of the different projections that come with that. And it reminded me to be very, very grateful for the present moment, be grateful for what I have. Because a lot of the things that I do have in my life, I actually wished for. And I know that is so cliche, and it's hard to actually realize that when you're in that moment. And I have to look back at that because sometimes I'm the type of person where I will wish for things, I will manifest things. And for me, it's easy, and I'll forget how much I wanted it. So, for example, and I talked about it in a podcast episode and like my earlier episode too, about how I got together with my partner and what happened. And, if you haven't checked it out, it's a really good story. A lot of people say they really love it. But I just remember like he was my Danish partner. Like he was my Danish lover for not even a month. And it was right before COVID. And then I just remember pining over him. We would talk all the time. Like in the beginning, like when you didn't know what would happen, we didn't know COVID lasted that long. Maybe it was like a month of COVID and you thought that you'd be back together and all of that stuff. And then I realized like, oh my gosh, we're not going to be together. And then eventually we did get together, and he moved to America with me and all of that stuff, and then we are together, and now we're going to go visit his family. And sometimes I like pinch myself, and I remember thinking like, oh my gosh, I wanted this so much. Or I just remember how I like had never spent a Saturday with him, and how now I get to spend a lot of Saturdays with him, and it just feels so good. And so anytime that I find that I'm in this space where I forget what I have, or I'm pining over, a dream, a desire, a manifestation that I'm trying to call in, I always just try to remember, okay, you wanted to be an entrepreneur, you wanted to have that life where you got to help people, you got to work with women. And I do have that, and granted, a lot of entrepreneurs like sure they'll share like bits and pieces. I don't necessarily think business coaches will share as much because they'll just have this whole, oh, being an entrepreneur is freedom and you're just going to be on the beach. It's like, no, it's not. You're going to work harder than your actual employer. Like you're going to work way harder. I work so much, and it can be exhausting, especially when you don't see results happen that quick. And, unless you're in sales and you know how many clients you're getting in corporate, like you're just not in the day to day. You're kind of just a cog in a wheel and just running it. Or, unless you're in finance, you actually see the financial manifestation of the actual strategy. And so it's been an interesting ride. It's been very, very interesting. And so, it's like I do forget like this is the life that I really wanted sometimes, and it's all I wanted, and it's all I would think about. And remembering that, like, okay, this is it, and you're living it. And so the next time this manifestation that you're really trying to call in, or this dream that you're really trying to call in does happen, how can you show more gratitude for that? And I'm the type of person that it's hard for me to celebrate, meaning I'm always moving at such a fast pace that it's hard for me to celebrate those moments, to celebrate different milestones that I've had. And so I'm learning more and more to just take pause, to really create sacred time and space of like, oh, this is important that this happened. It is important that you follow your dream of, quitting your 9 to 5 and pursuing this. It is important that you honor yourself and are learning to regulate your nervous system, and you got like a part-time consulting gig, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? Or the fact that you're trying out so many different things in your business, right? And you're doing those things that you thought were super scary, and yeah, it's just like, it's just constant. It's constant, constant, constant. But totally in my feels today. Definitely feel um like it like I have to take Tylenol because my arm is just hurting, and I go to acupuncture, and so I had to use this muscle spray they gave me, so it just really helps, but I can literally just like feel the pain. And just trying to be really present, trying to be grounded, trying to be grateful, and also knowing that I'm really sensitive, because whenever I feel any sort of, physical pain, and then also, just like new emotional pain comes up, I know that my thoughts are, they can be a little abnormal. I can be very, very, very dramatic. So I'm just watching it, right? I'm watching it, observing it, all of that stuff. And how do I stay present? How do I not, how do I be grateful for what I have, as opposed to wanting to covet another person's life, realizing that the life that they have, I have it in some way, shape, or form, right? And I think that's the most important lesson that I've been incarnated to learn in this lifetime, of how do I only react to me? How do I define who I am without, feeling like I have to be better than or less than other people? How can I be equal? And today in Kundalini yoga, the Dharma talk was about how do we reprogram our thoughts. And for me, it really was about reprogramming this thought of I am divine too, right? That no one has to be better than me, that I don't have to idolize anyone, that no one else is perfect, that no one has to idolize me, that we're all just the same, we're all equal, that everyone is just putting on a facade of how happy they are, on social, because we actually don't even know when they have like those ugly cry moments. Unless they decide to film it. You know how I feel about that. But yeah, yeah. Anyways, I am glad I got on here. Glad I finished another vlog. Glad I was shared what was coming up for me, and just being really tender. My partner and I, we like to call it tender chickens. Tender chickens. And I'm glad that I get to snuggle with my cat. I'm glad that I have really comfy, cozy clothes when it's cloudy out, because in SF it's super cloudy all the time. I'm glad I have electrolytes to help keep me hydrated. I'm glad I got my collagen powder in the mail. It was hell expensive, but I'm excited to see what it does for my hair, skin, and nails, and my joints. Yeah, I'm grateful getting paid this week. Like, so there's just so much to be grateful for. And anytime I find myself in a funk, like, that is my super simple go-to tool. Just think about the most mundane things you're grateful for. And it doesn't have to be like anything new or ridiculous or out of the ordinary. It can just be like, oh, I'm grateful I have toothpaste so I can have fresh breath. Like, I'm talking about super simple. And just thinking all of that. And so, yeah, always remind yourself that the life you have now is what you actually wished for in the past, or remnants of it, right? Like, I don't know what you wish for, but I'm just talking to myself. And just being grateful for that and recognizing that moment that is already here that I've like prayed for, and it is happening, whether you know it or not. And something that, yeah, something I also learned in training was, you know, in the present moment, your past and your future are happening simultaneously. Like the thoughts you're creating are creating the future right now. And so how can you really be present? How can you be in that moment of gratitude and joy? And how can you really be thankful? Right. And so, anyways, let me know what you think. Glad it was real. Glad I shared I was in my feels. And thank you for the last comment in the last video. That was really nice. And let me know what else you're feeling. Does this happen to you also? And I will talk to y'all later. And don't forget, I have a Kundalini yoga session this Friday. So if you want to join, I will share the link in the show notes and like the description of this video. If you want to join, want to tap in, if it's something that you've never done and you're curious about it, would love to have you. And I hope you all have a beautiful Tuesday. All right. Bye.